For Radio Cayman News, I'm Felicia Rankin Saelens. Cayman Islands passport holders aged 65 and over rejoice. Pesky passport service fees are now a thing of the past after Cabinet approval of the Passport Amendment of Schedule Order 2021. Deputy Premier and Minister for Border Control, Honourable Chris Saunders.
It's important to my Cabinet colleagues and I that, as a government, we appropriately facilitate all of our people living their lives to their fullest potential. For our senior citizens who have spent their lives working to build our community, a key concern is living on fixed incomes after retirement. By waiving these fees, we aim to reduce and remove the financial load our seniors have to bear in their day-to-day lives. After a fee review and careful analysis, it was determined that the reduced revenues collected through passport services would be a minimal loss to the government coffers, but would offer a real long-term benefit to our seniors by reducing their financial obligations.
The order waives fees for first-time applications and renewals of British Overseas Territory citizen Cayman Islands passports, change of name, replacement of lost or stolen passports, provision of temporary passports, call-out fees, and U.S. visa waiver services. Just over 659,000 visitors were logged in the Cayman Islands in 2020, a 71% drop when compared to the year before. More from Radio Cayman's Carsley Fuller.
Since 2015, Cayman has consistently welcomed more than 2 million visitors a year, but with the spread of COVID-19 came a dramatic hit to the country's tourism sector. Air arrivals last year fell by 75%, with just 121 flights registered. Cruise calls fell from 601 in 2019 to just 191 last year, a drop of 70%. Breaking down those who did travel to Cayman in 2020, 81% were from the U.S., Canada, 9%, and Europe represented 5% of the total arrivals. Pre-border closing, Cayman saw a strong start to the year for air arrivals, with more visitors coming in January and February 2020 than in the same months the year before. Most of the stayover visitors were over the age of 36, listing their occupations as professional. 78% of the air arrivals were for recreation, 6.5% for business. Almost half of them were visiting Cayman for the first time, and 45% stayed in hotels or guest homes during their stay. Visitor expenditure was not reported in 2020 Compendium of Statistics, as estimates were, quote, not available yet. Reporting for Radio Cayman News, I'm Carsley Fuller.
The full 2020 Compendium of Statistics is available online at eso.ky. While some have made multiple trips overseas since COVID, there are those of us who haven't. Radio Cayman's April Cummings shares with us her experience leaving and returning to the islands for the first time since 2019.
When my mother-in-law passed away in early May, it took until August for us to get flights off the island to sort out her affairs. And since our son was due to start college in late August, we bit the bullet and prepared for a long haul. But in truth, I had absolutely no idea just how stressful traveling has become. Now, a lot of the stress is about just not knowing how it all works anymore, keeping track of paperwork, deadlines, test results, as well as some do's and don'ts. I would say that leaving the island really wasn't worse than the norm, other than we did show up too early for a travel PCR test, which fortunately the HSA staff caught in time, and then the matter of my passport being expired, which took a few stressful weeks to get resolved. At the airports, and yes, I did say airports plural, lines are long. Sometimes nerves are shot, masks are required, and I heard more than one tired airline employee reminding travelers with their teeth clenched to keep the masks on at all times, not just at the airport, but on the aircrafts as well, as we made our way on multiple carriers across the U.S. Coming home was a lot more stressful. We were tired, we wanted to come home, but there were things that had to be done first. We needed PCR tests within a 72-hour to return, but there were literally hundreds of options. And after horror stories about tests not returning in time, we ended up spending far more than we expected just to get guaranteed results pre-flight. And even though I submitted my information to Travel Cayman well in advance, we didn't actually get authorization until late Friday for our Sunday morning flight. Definitely scary. Now, I'm not actually criticizing Travel Cayman because, frankly, there were 2 storms to deal with in the middle of my time off island. But nonetheless, not having that certificate in hand, you wonder whether you're actually going to get home at all. On Cayman Airways, the in-flight service definitely missed that, but passengers took it all in stride. Our arrival at Owen Roberts International Airport did bear a bit of resemblance to something out of a movie. There were so many checkpoints, verifying and re-verifying everything from the PCR test results to our numbers of bags to vaccination status. Seeing personnel in those white head-to-toe hazmat suits definitely reinforced the seriousness with which the islands are taking the threat of COVID. The only thing that didn't seem different, the painful process of declaring items we bought overseas and then paying duty for going over our limits. April Cummings, Radio Cayman News.
April says there were a few lessons learned. She recommends printing a physical copy of all documents since cell phones die, and sometimes your service just doesn't work. She also suggests traveling light and packing a flexible attitude, along with a purse-sized bottle of isopropyl alcohol, extra masks, and a snack to avoid getting hangry. In the past 2 weeks, there have been a number of alleged breaches by people quarantining at home, with them meeting members of the public to exchange items. Director at Travel Cayman, Cassandra Morris, tells Radio Cayman all alleged breaches were reported to the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service and are under investigation. Public Health says all alleged breaches were isolated and that there is no cause for public health concern.
We would like to thank our community who reported all of the recent breaches we investigated. As we continue with the phased reopening, engagement from the public will become more vital to our mission of keeping our island safe.
All deliveries to someone in quarantine should be contactless, and members of the public should immediately leave the quarantine location once they have completed their delivery. Never accept items from a person in quarantine. Public school orientation was held today after getting pushed back by Tropical Storm Ida.
As such, all government primary and high schools, including the Lighthouse School and Little Cayman Education Services, will reopen for all students on Tuesday, 31st August 2021.
Department of Education Services Director Mark Ray is urging anyone with questions to check out the complete 2021-2022 academic school calendar at schools.edu.ky.
Your Miss Teen 2021-2022 is
none other than
contestant
number 5!
17-year-old Asaya Thomas of Georgetown is the 2021-2022 Miss Teen Cayman Islands. Thomas was crowned before a packed audience at Lions Center Saturday night, August 28th, and Radio Cayman's Shanda Gallego caught up with her.
Asaya Thomas, how do you feel in this moment knowing that you are crowned Miss Teen Cayman Islands 2021-2022?
I feel over the moon. I'm very excited. I really thought I was going to win it.
Right. Let's talk about that, the competition and your journey. What was that like in getting to this moment tonight?
It was absolutely fun. I love every single one of the contestants I was with. I wouldn't have done it with any other sisterhood. I love them so much and I wish them the best in life.
The one thing that everyone was kind of anxious about was the question and answer.
Developing these mental illnesses due to overworking themselves to please other people's expectations. No. This problem would be solved.
What was that like in that moment, answering that question?
In that moment, I was actually terrified. I thought I wasn't going to answer that question well at all. That was what I thought my one downfall would be, but I'm proud with the answer I gave, and I'm sticking with the answer that I gave.
Right, and you not only just walked away with the crown and title, but you walked away with Best in Gown. How do you feel about that?
I feel amazing, especially because right before I went on, the zipper in my gown broke, so a stagehand had to help sew it back together.
Wow, the things we don't see, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What happens next now that you're crowned Miss Teen Cayman Islands? Talk about maybe your platform, some of the things you want to advocate for moving forward in your reign.
Well, my platform is empowered through education, so I'm hoping to visit as many schools as I can and help students want to stay in school, to feel empowered that they're learning, to feel confident in the knowledge that they're receiving.
First runner-up was Kiana Ebanks of Northside, and second runner-up was Boddentown teen Naya Mothin. And that was your 6 o'clock news for Radio Cayman. I'm Felicia Rankin Saelens.